Hi. Here's a short series of postures that you can do on a daily basis to improve your strength, mobility and flexibility. We'll start in downward dog. Downward dog is an upside down V position. We place the hands towards the front of the mat and the feet are towards the back of the mat. Hands shoulder width apart and feet not wider than hip width apart. If it's difficult to move into this downward facing dog position, you can always have your knees bent slightly. So for some people who have tight hamstrings and tight lower back, posterior kinetic chain, it's perfectly fine to have the knees bent. You will still be stretching the back side of the body. I would take between 5 or 10 breaths in this position and use the quality of the breath to help manipulate the body. So as you inhale, see if you can breathe into the places that you feel stiffness or stuckness, and every time you exhale, just soften slightly. We're working on pressing the heels towards the ground, but it doesn't matter if the heels are lifted up for potentially a long period of time. We just keep practicing day by day. So this is position number 1. The second position is to come into a forward fold. Now, for those of you who have very tight hamstrings or backside of the body, you can take a position called rag doll, where you basically hang the head down and let the crown of the head dangle towards the ground. For those of you who are more open in the hamstrings, you want to hook your fingers beneath your toes, push down with the heels, extend the legs by engaging the quadriceps, and then every time you exhale, you will pull the belly and the chest towards the legs. Each time you inhale, you'll look up slightly, creating tension, engaging quadriceps to straighten the legs, and your exhale, pull the head towards the space between the shins. After that one, which I would do for about 10 breaths, you can place the hands beneath the feet, the toes move against the wrist crease, and then again work on folding forwards, pulling your head to the space between the legs. If you're working on the ragdoll variation, your belly will be pressing against your thighs, and you'll just let your head hang, but count 10 breaths. You'll notice as you inhale that there is a slightly uplifting quality, and as you exhale, there is a grounding quality. The third posture is to come into what we refer to as a yogi squat. So the hands are placed together in a prayer position. We try to bring the thumbs as close to the chest as possible while pressing the outer arms against the inner thighs. So then we work on pushing the tailbone downwards and forwards, and every inhale we work to expand across the chest and push the knees outwards. Every exhale you work on softening into the position. The next posture is to come into a kneeling position with toes pointed. This is the easier variation. Hands point to the side. As you push down, lift your hips and push the knees towards the ground. So the shins are connected with the ground, the tops of the feet are connected with the ground. You're lifting your hips. You can stay in the position for 5 or 10 breaths. If that's too intense, the other option is to inhale, lift the hips, and exhale, lower the hips down. If you want to go for a more difficult variation, you can come into a reverse tabletop position, push down with the hands and the feet, lift the hips and the chest, and then as you exhale, you'll place, to begin with, the right foot, the ball of the foot and the toes beneath the right sit bones. Inhale, lift the hips, tuck the tailbone slightly, and then as you exhale, push the right knee towards the ground. You'll notice a deep stretch across the front side of the body. Hold for 5 or 10 breaths, And then on an inhale, you lift up. Exhale, place the right foot down. As you inhale, lift the left foot. Place the foot beneath the right sit bone as you exhale. Inhale, hips up. Exhale, push the knee towards the ground. The whole time you're extending the arms, you're opening across the chest. Again, 5 or 10 breaths in this position. And then inhale, lift up. Place the foot down and lower down. The next position is to work on what we refer to as pancake pose, or what sometimes gets referred to as pancake pose. Toes are pointing up and slightly back, 90-degree angle between the thighs. As we inhale, we draw the navel in, and as we exhale, we fold forwards, but try to keep the chest open, so the crown of the head remains aligned with the tailbone. Some people might want to take hold of the big toes and pull the belly and the chest towards the ground. Other people will walk the hands along the mat. So from the side, it should look a little bit like this. And what you are trying to avoid doing is rounding the back. This gives the kind of impression that you're folding forwards, but the idea is to keep straight in the spine and only to hinge at the hips. It doesn't matter how far forwards you go, and if you find that you can't fold forwards at all, that's okay. Work on moving to that place where you feel the body being stretched. Then we do a spinal twist, so we bring the knees together, we hug the shins, the left arm sweeps around the shins, we place the right hand behind the seat with the fingertips pointing towards the back of the mat. As we inhale, we push down, spine extends. Exhale, turn the head, gaze over the right shoulder. And then after you've done 5 breaths, you can place the right forearm around the shins, left hand behind the seat. Inhale, push down, lengthen. Exhale, turn the head, gaze over the left shoulder. So you do 5 breaths on each side. After that, come back into a kneeling position. Bring the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers. As you inhale, lift the hands away from the seat. You're stretching the shoulders, the front side of the body, the upper chest. And as you exhale, soften into the position. Stay here for 5 or 10 breaths. And after that, you can give yourself a shake. So mostly floor-based, or all floor-based, these activities. And after that, if you wish and you want to do some stretching on the hips, the useful hip activity is ankle to knee pose. Now this is challenging and it can take a long time to develop. So what you might notice is when you first come into this position, your knee is lifting up a lot. If that's the case, extend your bottom leg, so in this case the left leg. However, if you've been doing this for a while or you have open hips, you have your right ankle directly on top of the left knee, and as the right ankle moves towards the left knee, you might want to fold forwards, and I would suggest staying here for 5 minutes. That's about 50 breaths, so a long period of time, and then you would repeat the exercise on the other side. Now, if you do these postures every day over a long period of time, you will notice significant gains in terms of flexibility, mobility, but also strength. I hope that this helps in some way. Please like, share the video, subscribe to this channel, and I hope to see you again in the future. Namaste.